It really hit me recently about how important it is for me to understand how to work with the spiritual part of myself, especially around those closest to me. So since my divorce in 2017, I have not talked to my oldest daughter in almost 9 years. And there's been definitely challenging moments like her birthday and Christmas. And when I hear that she's been in a major car accident I didn't know about, and different things that's happened through the years where I had no connection and no way to really talk to her because she won't talk to me. So in these moments, I recognize the importance of understanding how to work with my energy, and also that, she has her own energy and she's got her own journey and she has her own purpose of what she's doing here. And oftentimes it's okay for me to step back and allow others that are not, in my immediate house to have their own journey. So I really wanted to open up with that today, Tom, because it feels to me it's important, and moving forward to really recognize how to work with our energy with these situations we have in life that goes on around us.
Well, that sounds good, because I guess all we're really talking about is how do you make this spiritual step practical? It's great to, talk about it and have ideas about it and say, oh, I'm a soul and I'm energy and I last forever. And isn't that great? So when I get stimulated by people around me, or I find I have a negative attitude about my life, really that's a sign that I'm losing the bigger picture and that what I'm getting out of it spiritually.
Yeah, or the practicality of, like I said, someone doesn't talk to you who you love for 9 years. And so for myself, understanding the spiritual part of me has really been, well, it's been a godsend for myself. Like, it's been something that's helped me get through challenging times when some people may not be able to get through them because, when people that you love so much and then you don't have any connection with them, it's challenging.
Yeah, and I think there's all kinds of examples, like, going through relationship breakups, or having things happen to people around you or happen to yourself. And, there's always that little bit of a search for meaning for why this is all, going on, or, why am I so unhappy, or I don't, I have more downs and ups. And I know for me that beginning to experience more, be more aware of my experience as a spiritual being in a, monkey suit or physical body, meat suit.
I like to say meat suit.
Meat suit has helped a lot. And because I begin to discern, or I start to separate, what's the programming or limiting concepts I have about myself versus my and emotions versus, say, my feelings and my awareness and my some of the magical or mystical things that we experience in life, or that many people experience, in terms of having dreams that come true, or seeing dead people, or in that, or
we laugh, but
getting
it's true.
Getting a sense that someone who's passed on is talking to you, or you see them someplace, or just having that premonition, knowing who's on the other end of the phone, before the phone rings, picking up on somebody. So sensitivity is a real capability or talent for all of us. And, but rather than look at spiritual things from this, okay, right and wrong, and here's what you do and here's what you don't do, more from how can this lead to more fulfillment? How can I feel happier and freer, and move through the challenges? And you might say, for me, it's been how do I release those self-limiting concepts or limiting ideas that I have about the world around me, or about myself, that, hold me back from more of that fulfillment.
Yeah. And so why this came up for me recently is because I've been dreaming about her a lot. So the last time I did that was when she had a car accident and totaled her car, and I didn't know about it for weeks. And then the whole week she had been in not a good place. She was coming to me in dreams. So I don't look at, I don't take those lightly. I look at them and just as a, like a, that's interesting that this soul is showing up in my realm, in that realm, the realm of the unconscious, the realm where, no matter what's gone on or what, anything that's the issues we have inside of us, it doesn't matter because it's those lines are like crossed, like there's no boundaries in the dream world, right? Anyone can come through and you can have interactions with them, irregardless if you really do that in the physical world.
Mm-hmm. And we're all one as a spiritual being. So what I found and how I relate to why I want to explore the spiritual side of my life is that I always had an affinity for some of the ideas that religion shared, about loving your neighbor and peace and being positive and happy and those kinds of things. And I also had a real interest in the mystical side of life. Like, back in my day, they called it ESP, and there was a lot of talk about it, or, that psychic sensitivity. And, I felt like I had a guardian angel when I was a young child. And now I know that I have spiritual helpers to help me through this journey of life. So, we work with our inner sensitivity, our inner guidance system to work more with our spiritual helpers so that life can be more fulfilling and smoother and we can be more loving. And you might say that some of the ideals that religion taught me, growing up Catholic, I find are more easily obtainable when I work with my spiritual helpers. And also on the other side of it is when the material success that I look for on planet Earth and playing the game here, also it's easier to achieve that when I work with my, spiritual helpers to get both sides of the game of life, to move smoother for them. And as you say, like give you more meaning for why these things are going on, and then finding solutions to just kind of let go of all that angst and look towards, how do I move forward under this situation, which I don't prefer to have, or I don't like, or hit me as a soul quake, as you write in your book, The Soul Quake Survivor Guide.
It's interesting you should mention about religion because I just interviewed someone who's coming out with an amazing book in June, and the episode will be out in June, Meg Calvin, and she talked a bit on that podcast about how, she was into ministry and she'd been doing it since 13, and how at a certain point in her 30s when she came out and really recognized there's something not right and like something different and had spiritual awakening basically. Then she recognized that there's no comparison between how she felt in religion and what that offered her compared to what her own intuition, her own guidance, connecting with her own spiritual helpers. The difference is like night and day.
Yeah.
And so I really, the word that comes to me is reawaken.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a word that is sometimes thrown out kind of, they're reawakening or wakening up for myself, I believe that everyone on the planet is awake, but there's different variations of I believe when we come on the planet, we're awake, right? But as we move through our journey, it's a time of reawakening, a time of really rediscovering who I really am as a soul, instead of just being, like a robot here moving through all that we're doing is like, those, like we're saying, those hunches, insights, impressions, and things that happen to us that are often considered mystical or weird or strange. Well, everyone has things like that happen.
Yeah, and spiritual healing.
Right, exactly.
Those techniques and working with spiritual energy to actually help people heal spiritually, and which starts to reflect in their physical well-being as well.
Right. So I have a really good phrase that I got off of the internet about reawakening spiritually. It says that at its simplest, it means remembering or reconnecting with something essential that has gone quiet inside you. Whether that something is a sense of meaning, peace, intuition, gratitude, purpose, or a felt connection to something larger than yourself, like maybe God or nature, creativity. That to me is a really great description of reawakening spiritually, because it is something that is quiet inside of us, but sometimes it can be a little loud and we're like, what is that? like a voice or or a knowing, or something comes through a dream and you're like, what in the world?
Yeah, and as a young child, many people, and I know I had this experience, our sensitivity was heightened, or I was aware of energy and spiritual things, and spiritual energy, you might say, the things that we call mystical or magical. And yet, over time, I was talked out of it. For example, I believe that I had a spiritual helper, and I had a name for that helper.
Like a Gogi?
Yeah, and
I remember you talking about that sometimes.
yeah, and that I remember being talked at. It was interesting because my grandparents, they sort of at first, they'd ask me about him, and they would talk about it, and then I hit a certain age where all of a sudden they said, "Well, Tom, that's not real," and I was like, "What? How could that?" And so, of course, I loved my grandparents and I respected them, and as most young children do, and so that kind of they must be right about that, and but we also unconsciously pick up thoughts and feelings in our environment as we're young, and you might say the policies and procedures that our parents have at the time, and they don't always work for them, and they don't always work for us if your goal is to move through life in a more spiritual manner or feeling happier and freer. So there's a lot of truth in religion. I enjoy learning about the historicity of it and the stories that people have told and beliefs they've had over the eons and how it's evolved, but not one thing has all the truth.
Right.
And so I always have to take what someone else shares and then compare that with my feelings and my sensitivity, you might say, to get the full other side of the story. The thing that I found for spiritual growth and involvement, like, it's really up to me. It's not something I can just, if someone tells me and then I go, okay, I understand that, like a robot, and, okay, that's it. And this is how it works. It's something I have to feel, and I become it. And then as I work with my sensitivity and become a healing influence in my own environment.
Yeah, the word that comes to my mind is experiential. So I have to experience it myself. And I think that's the important key with, I've done tons of different classes, and especially when I was a massage therapist, healing work in classes and mediumship and all kinds of things. And it wasn't really until I came to the Wayshowers College that I recognized that a lot of what I was doing, I really wasn't understanding. I think because it was more intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
And so in recognizing when I came to the Wayshowers College too, is that, it's really about each person developing their own insights, their own, intuition, their own abilities, and everyone's at different places. So I think that's one thing that I really found really interesting, but it actually heightened my sensitivities, because I'm like, yeah, well, you as a visionary, you're able to see auras occasionally, and you can see, images and different things that I'm not able to. I can probably develop that if I really tried at it, but that's not quite my way. My way is other ways. And so recognizing that each person has the opportunity, as well as I do, to expand myself, but I do it at my own pace and what works for me. You have set your foundation and are awake spiritually, but the day-to-day grind is still a challenge. To support this moment in time is the monthly Reawaken membership. This monthly membership offers you a deeper dive into what you're feeling energetically and ways to gain more insights and awarenesses on how you move through it all. For pennies a day, you'll receive the Wayshowers philosophy and a compact home study course of the month created by the Wayshowers College. A bonus to this service is a monthly live regrouping with TNT SpiritWorks, offered in 2 time zones. So no matter where you are reawakening in the world, you can join real people online and regroup what is going on for yourself. This can create more inner stability, peace, feeling grounded, and awareness from within that you are not alone moving through your journey. Check out the link in the show notes to start reawakening on a deeper level today.
Yeah, I think that's a big key. You're talking about the spiritual gifts, and my first gift, we have 4 gifts, of course, and we can learn how to work with them and unfold them to 100%, all of them. And, I work with the gift of vision first, so seeing is all important, and there's certain personality traits that I have that, are typical of people that have that type of perception. Mm-hmm. So, it's learning how to communicate inner as well as outer. So because you're an intuitive, clairaudient, we've shared this a lot in our program, you're clear hearing and words and conciseness, and you have there's a way to communicate with you, and there's a way when you communicate, I accept more easily because it's your first gift. That's mm-hmm. how in the gift order of the 4 gifts. So with those types of perceptions, we can really communicate clearly with our spiritual helpers. And I really want to emphasize this point that, my journey is different than your journey. We may be in similar circumstances or the same household, but I have a different path. I have other things. I have something that I've come to master. We may have some areas that we share. There's commonality. So it's through working with my helpers, I can really get answers, and I can get insight into, well, what is the commonality I have? What is my purpose? Rather than someone tell me what my purpose is. It's when I rediscover it or reawaken it in myself that I really feel it and I fulfill it and I be it. In religion, it'd be like saying, the Christian religions will talk about love yourself as your neighbor or love your enemies and those kind of things. And yet, people who are in those at times don't feel that. They don't love their enemies. They don't love themselves, or they don't love their neighbor for some reason. There's always a neighbor that pisses them off. And so, how do I really become more like that, as a way of life? Well, really, my final little comment at this point is that it's up to me to go, aha, and evolve that with my guidance. Me telling someone never, sure, they can parrot it back to you, but did they really feel it inside?
Yeah, it's all about absolutely. It's all about the feeling, and each individual person, depending upon what they've been through in their life and the unfoldment they've had, determines how they feel about things. Like you're saying, we both have had different experiences. So, and so one thing, and we've noticed this when we've come across and come upon things in our life, that something that really just stimulates me doesn't stimulate you, mm-hmm. and vice versa. So I think that's a real important thing with recognizing, in the journeys that we all take while we're here, is that's a big key. Is reawakening is individual.
Yeah, and as a soul, I have all the answers for my life within myself. And it's not that I haven't learned some good things along the way. I like to say we stop at stop signs and we stop at red lights because that keeps us safe. We don't run into the big truck that's about to, barrel through there. Mm-hmm. So having intellectual procedures is helpful, but the feeling part is more that desire to be one with all, and the desire to be connected, feel a part of things, or to have a smooth day and have an enjoyable day. And, when I tune into my true feelings, the funny thing is I love being of service. I love feeling happy and free. So that's the easy part. If I follow my feelings, but we've been trained, to make it hard and to find a way to suffer and all that good stuff. So when we have these tools to help us reawaken, it's to help me find my own answers, because I may do it differently than you do it. You may do it differently than me. I can share something with you, and I can, put forward an idea or a new concept or a new universal mm-hmm. truth. And then as you tune into how you feel about it, you can see what part of that fits for you or doesn't fit for you.
Yeah. And so, with talking about working with the Wayshores College, and my big thing is about being simple. My thing is I don't like complex crap. I just keep it simple. Just give me the facts. And of course, that's part of my my intuitive gift too, right? Like I don't need all the information, but I do love simplicity.
Details.
The details.
You're more the big picture
Yes.
facts rather than all the nitty gritty details. And there's people with the gift of feeling that are like great with the details.
Right. Right. But for myself, I'm not. So I'm good with the bigger picture. So that's why I'm excited about the Reawaken membership that we are, launching this month, because of the fact that it is a very simple membership that's really profound in the ways that it can support understanding the feeling that we're having as we move through our months, because every month has a different unique flavor to it. It's got a specific keyword to it. And then recognizing as you go through the month, setting, an energy with your guidance that this is how things can start showing up, and you can start putting two and two together for what is happening around you and why is it occurring.
Yeah, the master souls that work with us, our spiritual helpers, they've mastered the lessons here on planet Earth. Planet Earth's like a big school where we come to learn and grow, an advanced school as well. And the monthly lessons have been, spirits had their input, and they help inspire us to work with the energy where there's a lot of backing to maybe move through certain experiences and certain types of energy, so that we start to replace the religious concepts or the environment's concepts or society's concepts with more of the universal truth, so that my energy is operating more freely, and in a way I'm more powerful. I have that inner power within me, to live my life and be a bright light and really be a part of the solution, because just by being positive energy, being positive about my experience, I help heal my environment. I can be of service to others. I can be of service to myself.
Yeah, I know for myself too that it's about showing up, and there's so many things out there to support guiding us. But I found that this, the Reawaken membership is really something that I can access every day on my own, in my own time, and in my own awareness of what I'm going through at this moment. And then, get the backing from working with, because we're going to be offering a regrouping every month for the people who come to this membership and want to subscribe to it, which is a time that we can come together and really focus in on some guidance from spirit and ways of, again, what's been going on with you for this month and how has that been influencing how you're feeling and what you're going through and your intuition. And so it's a really way to uplift and to understand and gain clarity. Really, clarity is key on where you're at each month as you move through your life.
Yeah, what often really helps solidify my growth is I'm able to share with others. We'll take that monthly lesson, and I know I've got a key theme for that month. And it's like reading a positive letter about how to go through my whole month, and I'll become aware of the areas that'll come up for me. You might say the pitfalls and the solutions, to some of those pitfalls, and the emphasis as, people are moving through life's lessons, you might say. So, and then the home study, lesson where you actually learn to work with your guidance more clearly and reflect upon how you really feel and think about things. It's great because there's gems in these lessons, which I look at after decades of, exploring my spiritual growth or spiritual awareness. And I go, oh my God, that's so clear to me now. That's so obvious. And we also have techniques where we, unfold our, spiritual gifts, ways to heal ourselves, ways to heal our thoughts and feelings. And it's combined with a little input. And then the outflow that we talk about is at the end of the month, where we have opportunities to regroup with us and regroup with other people, where we all get to share, like, wow, about the middle of the month, I had this experience, I picked up this impression, and, I said, I heard my guidance, here's a solution, and I put it in place, and it was great, and I'm still practicing that one, but boy, I really became aware, of how to move through it better next time. At my age, I often notice a lot of people can't wait to sort of retire. And, boy, as soon as I can retire, I don't have to face all this crap at the job and, all these, deadlines and pressure. And so what's better for me is that as I stay involved in life, I just learn how to move through all that and more securely and more at peace and more. And then what's funny is, like I've been sharing in some recent episodes, I'm actually accomplishing the material part of the goals a lot simpler because of a change in my, habits and attitudes about things, and not just relying on those old patterns of behavior, but begin to become more aware, of how have I been holding myself back from that inner fulfillment, from that feeling. For me, it's all about happiness and freedom, and feeling that most of the time.
Yeah, and since we work with our spiritual helpers, all of us do, even though maybe, those listening out there, you may not, recognize that you're working with your spiritual helpers, but we all are, and we all have the, the love, backing, and support from day dot that we get back, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I hear you saying, Tom, is about really being practical, and that's a big thing for me. Like, I do these podcasts and do some spiritual stuff, but I also work, my 9-to-5 muggle job, and I interact with people out in the world. And so there's a lot of, being a regular human, which is what we all do. But how do I work with that as I move through and make my spiritual part practical? So I think that for myself has been a really big key with doing some of these courses, and then this, new Reawaken membership that we're offering. And another thing too, I really want to emphasize is that whenever, no matter what it is in life, whenever you decide you want to do something, Spirit says, okay, you're in for it. Here we go. And I think that's the exciting thing about the Reawaken membership is that, if it's something that you're called to try out or to, explore with us, Spirit will back that as soon as you go, okay, I'm ready to, I'm in. And that has been something I've had to really understand, especially years ago when I was starting with the Way Shores College and doing a lot of the courses and the group work and et cetera, that I sign up for things and then stuff starts happening and stuff starts occurring, and Spirit gives me, insights and examples and all kinds of things really come in front of my face to go, okay, this is exactly what I'm going through. So I can regroup it, so I can understand energetically what's happening to myself in this situation that I'm in, just like with my daughter, right? Like, I mean, it's amazing how Spirit backs us once we kind of raise our hand to show up for things.
Yeah. And would you say that you feel more relaxed about that whole situation?
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. I mean, because for a while when we were first together, it was all about, I just, love, it was you and I, and it was like, full on. So, but then after a while I was like, God, I would love a connection. And so, yeah, of course it was very disheartening, and it was really challenging for many years. Especially, it's funny because I have talked to many other people who've had the same situations with their children who are adults and make decisions not to connect for whatever reasons. But yeah, now I'm
so
like...
So what did you get out of it? I mean, out of all that happening, what have you learned, or how have you felt you've evolved?
Well, I feel like...
How did your guidance help you evolve through that?
Well, they've helped me evolve by really giving me examples of, of reasonings why, I'm at where I'm at, and she's having the explorations she's having for her soul's growth. That's really a key. Like, we don't need to be parallel at this moment in time. Mm-hmm. And we may not need to be parallel walking side by side, this lifetime, who knows? And if that's the case, then I'm okay with that. And if there's a time when she comes back in, then, I will, greet her and say, hey, how does it look moving forward? But in recognizing that, we all have choices, and staying relaxed with it has been definitely working with my guidance, cleansing, and learning how to stay relaxed with where other people are at in their journeys.
Yeah. So as I tune in back into the bigger picture, and in other words, the purpose that we all tune into and as I feel, I believe things because I feel them. Like once my guidance communicates with me and I begin to go, aha, oh yeah, I get that feeling, like you can't shake me from it, because I have experience, so much experience now where they've been spot on. And I trust myself more and more. And every once in a while, I'll get stimulated with something where I've still got to refine a certain area. And one of these materials really help because they remind me of simple things that you might say I've been looking at, most of my life, but that really just cut down on the confusion. I have more clarity. I have more clear purpose. I have more fulfillment. I'm more accepting of others. I'm more of service, and I'm enjoying myself. I suppose that's the big, most of the time, more ups and downs rather
Right.
than, being under pressure and that kind of thing. So sometimes it's a challenge for spirit to get through some of the concepts we have here on planet Earth. I mean, they're so entrenched in our society, and let's say the media keeps reinforcing the fear and all those kinds of things and moral issues. But once you start to work more with your guidance, you know what to be involved with, what not to be involved with, and choices become more positive, and those soul quakes seem to dissipate.
Yes.
It's not that we don't get stimulated occasionally, because those are still some areas for growth, but the big deals have kind of, because I've been involved in this sort of thing for many years, have kind of dissipated.
So let's talk about what the membership is all about.
Sure.
So the Reawaken membership is a monthly membership. It's a subscription. You can try it. You can do it one-off. You can try 1 month, or you can do a reoccurring each month. We do have a 20% discount for TNT 20. You can use that code, and this will all be in the show notes. So if you don't have to remember this, so each month you'll be getting a Wayshor's philosophy, which is that goes along with the theme of the month, and it's a beautiful. You said earlier when we did spiritual perspectives, you really said what that was to you. You felt it was like a message from Spirit. Remember?
It's almost, if you really want to get personal messages from Spirit, from your own helpers, from the souls that are really here to help you with your particular areas, the Wayshor's philosophy will. As you read it, as you absorb it and reflect upon it, it's big highlights for that month.
Right.
You might say the big influences, and it's keywords, key sentences. I mean, even phrases will have stood out to myself, and I go, oh yes, that's right. I'm just confusing my personal with my business, or my social with my personal, and things like that.
Yeah, so there's the Wayshor's philosophy, as well as there's a home study lesson that's a companion to the energy of what we're going through each month. And also there's 2 levels. There's a silver and then there's a gold. And in the link below, you can check out both of them and see the difference. There's a little more to the gold, where you get some other courses and some other videos and some other things that support you if that's where you're ready to move to. So
yeah, and it's like little sharings from Spirit, for everybody. That here's the theme, and here's the areas to watch out for, and here's some solutions. And then when I take a moment in the lessons to actually go, well, how do I do it? So how do I hold on to people? How am I possessive? I hear spiritually, let's not be possessive, but what areas am I still holding on to it? Or what areas am I still fearing a certain area of my life? And in what ways what's my brand of doing it?
Right.
And when I take a look at that, and then I can work more with my guidance, then the healing and the solutions can take place.
And then also there'll be, like Tom mentioned earlier, a regrouping that we'll be doing once a month on Zoom, and it will be in 2 time zones. So if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, there'll be one, and then there'll be one for the all of you guys in the Southern Hemisphere. So there'll be 2 unique times each month that we'll have open for regrouping, about an hour, and it'll be a really great way to start recognizing again what you're feeling each month, the energy, what's going on, and moving your understanding of yourself as a spiritual being to a new level?
Yeah, I find when I'm regrouping with other people, I'm here to really, it's my business whether how I grow, and when I grow, it's really up to me. But when I share with others, they can, from their angle, you might say, or from their perspective of what they're working on, these little aha moments occur. And as I share with other people, what I'm putting together from working with my helpers or working with spirit, it's the same thing, then I solidify it. So we need both the inflow, which is some of the materials we're providing, where spirit's getting their message through the confusion or through the dogma and talking to us clearly. You've got some materials there to work with, and then how do I relate to those things? And then sharing with other people at the regroupings is the outflow part of it, because as we outflow, then we open up for more inflow and more solutions, and more healing can take place.
I like that healing, Tom. And I think that's a good place to end.
Yeah, it feels good.
It feels really good.
Smooth.
Yeah. So if you guys are interested in checking out our new Reawaken membership, check the link below, and you can again see the silver and the gold memberships. And we would love to support you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let us know also, because we would be happy to answer any questions about the memberships. And cheers to another episode, Tom.
Yeah, here, cheers to another episode.
And we want to thank you out there so much for listening in to another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. We hope that you gain some insights in this episode regarding where you're at spiritually, how you can back yourself to take it to the next learning, to understand more about who you are as a spiritual being, and to gain more clarity.
Yeah, and there's strength in numbers. The more that we work together, the more spirit can back us, and we all become a healing force for ourselves and for our environment.
Cheers to that. And so, until next week, remember that life is too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey. To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.